Good morning and welcome. You're with us at the Impala Sanctuary in Kisumu. It is Kisumu Maritime Summit taking place here off the back of the World Maritime Day that was celebrated recently. And here we are discussing enhancing maritime opportunities. We're on Switch TV, and you can also find us through Star Times 473, Zuku 53, Signet Free to Air. We're on the digital platforms, Facebook, Switch TV Kenya, Instagram, Switch TV KE, and Twitter, Switch TV Kenya. The hashtag is Switch Kisumu Maritime. We are privileged to have a broad panel. We're being hosted by His Excellency the Governor of Kisumu. Thank you so much for having us within your county. We're here also with the Principal Secretary, Mrs. Nancy Karangithu, in the State Department for Shipping and Maritime. Thank you for joining us. On the panel at this moment is Edward Oko, Chair, Kisumu Lakefront Development Corporation, Karibu, and John Omingo, Director, Maritime Trade and Investment of the Kenya Maritime Authority. And we will also be conversing with Dr. Ali Matano. He's an expert in environmental law and policy, and Juvenal Shiundu, Chair of the Kenya National Shipping Line Limited. They'll be joining us later on in the discussion. But right now, this discussion is going to take us through, hopefully looking at what the status is in the maritime terms and what is this whole maritime. We've been hearing the term, and in some cases, we really don't know what we're talking about, but hopefully the experts here are going to put it to us simply. And we'll get into some of the challenges that are being faced and hopefully opportunities and solutions that can be exploited. With no further ado then, let me ask Mrs. Karagithu, what's the status? What is maritime, first of all? So that Michelle can understand. But Michelle is advanced, you know, these young ones here are advanced.
I think Michelle knows maritime. She said that it's not just the oceans, it's the water bodies, and that's where Lake Victoria comes in. But I think I want to say that we've progressed now from just maritime to seeing the economic opportunities, and that's where now we're talking about blue economy, the sustainable economic exploitation of the resources within the waters. We are a coastal state. We are also endowed with very great water bodies. One is just behind us where we are, the Lake Victoria, but we've got other water bodies like Lake Turkana, Lake Baringo, which are all gems of world renown, and therefore all of them form part of what we can collectively call our blue economy with a lot of economic potential. And like we have been told, the size of our waters, both ocean, both freshwater bodies, is equivalent in terms of size and space to what would be 31 counties in size, meaning therefore you can add 47 to 34. Huge.
That is huge. That is huge. Are you ready for what will happen now that we know we can have a piece of the waters?
Yes, try us.
You have the policies down.
We should be able to, as long as people understand and live our traditional ways of looking at economic development, yes, we can.
So
we will.
Where are we fitting in the global scheme of things with regard to our, contributing to the blue economy and our maritime space?
Okay, you know that we are a big part of maritime transport in the region with our international ports too now, the port of Mombasa and the port of Lamu. And of course, this is a shared water body, and we are part of the East African community, like I said earlier, supporting an ecosystem with over 300 million people. But in terms of economic exploitation, that's a very personal decision to a country, because there are many things we can do in the blue economy space. We've got 13 sectors that could be all able to contribute to the economy, 15 subsectors out of those. If you think of tourism, fisheries, and maritime transport, shipping, maritime education and training. But we've also got 87 different activities. If you think of offshore energy and marine cables, all those. But the decision for a country to decide which gives us the most optimum economic benefit, that's what will get us there, because some may be harder than others. So we pick for the low-hanging fruits. And in this country, I would say that our youth bulge is our single biggest opportunity in tapping into the blue economy, without contradiction.
As consumers or producers in that blue economy? The youth.
The youth, they could be consumers, like the young group we saw, but most important, the array of jobs there is quite vast.
And I think we're going to come back to that, especially Dr. Uko and some of the plans they have for the lake. But let me ask Professor and Governor Nyong'o, when we now come to Kisumu as a major, we've only recently started hearing about the port. How does this port compare with the other two ports that Madam Karigithu had just mentioned, Lamu and Kisumu and Mombasa?
Michael, you're right. My sister here has mentioned Lamu and Mombasa. Lamu, you remember, was just recently constructed. Kisumu Port used to be very important during the East African Community days, or during the days of East African Common Services Organization, when the three Eastern countries were collaborating and working together on economy and service delivery. Now, in 1978, when the community went under, Kisumu Port also went under, and the economy of Kisumu and the region suffered tremendously. You remember even the biggest railway workshop, which is only second to Nairobi and Johannesburg, also was closed, with all the instruments and the machines and technology kept in there up to recently. So when the government decided about 2 or 3 years ago to revive the port, we are actually resuming our position that Kisumu occupied during the East African Community days before '78, with a lot of ships, trade, commerce being shipped from here. You remember the big ports on Lake Victoria, Kisumu, Mwanza, Bukoba, Port Bell, on the East African side of things. And whereas Bukoba and Port Bell kept on functioning somehow, Kisumu was dead. But now it is resuming. Remember when they first came here, the government came here with the military to revive the port. I was surprised to find there were the 8 ships, small and big, which had sunk to the bottom of the, of the port. Fortunately, they were resurrected, and because the lake is a freshwater lake, some of them, it's as if they were just asleep. Like, you remember the story of Rip Van Winkle? Yes. They were just Rip Van Winkle down there, you see, and they came up. That was the fate of MV Uhuru 1, which was revived and is now ferrying all kinds of commodities to Uganda and back. It was the first revival that woke up the port. About a week ago, I went to the port with a friend of mine who was visiting, and I found that there were 9 ships docked at the port, which means the port is waking up. Secondly, the Kenya Shipyard Company is also building MV Uhuru 2 at the dry dock, which had been dormant since 1978. MV Uhuru 2 is going to be afloat in February next year. So you can imagine, things are coming back to life.
Quite literally, after how many years?
As calculated for 78, that's a number. All 38, yeah.
And now that I have some economists amongst me, what has the lost opportunity cost been for all those years then?
I think tremendous, really. What you can say is that that loss of opportunities can be calculated in terms of the degree of underdevelopment and the amount of dead capital that was never used, like those ships, the workshops, the station, the port. This is what is called dead capital. You have capital which is not producing value. And that's one of the reasons why we started the Lakefront Development Corporation, headed by Oedi Ouko here, to wake up that dead capital and to make sure that we resume where we left in 78 and move even faster.
So what's the speed of movement, and when do we want to get to where we should have been, Dr. Uko?
That's a good question, but I think we must look at the things in perspective, and as the governor says, there was a vibrancy of economy, some barely, I think, during the colonial time, and latterly, the latest was because of the East African community, which then, we disintegrated, and we therefore had so-called dead economy, which we are now trying to revive. Now, one thing which in the governor's wisdom and the advices which we've given is that we need to find a vehicle which is going to resuscitate this dead economy. And one of them was to do this is not just a county, as a government, but an institution which would be embracing partnership and people around the lake to come under one vehicle, which is the Kisumu Lakefront Development Corporation.
Just clarify who these people are.
Now, these people are, the county government is the major stakeholder. I'd like to call them stakeholders, not shareholders. We have the Kenya ports, we have the Kenya railways, we have the business community in terms of the Chamber of Commerce, we have the Lake Basin, and we have the Maritime also, part of a major stakeholder in this. So these are the key. But there are other subsidiary stakeholders who are very active. These are the core, what we call forming the board of the lakefront.
If I can just add to that, the lakefront brings together a lot of government corporations. Kenya Ports Authority, Kenya Airways, is it corporation or authority? Kenya Airways,
Yes.
Kenya Airports Authority,
yes.
Kenya Pipeline Company,
Yes.
Kenya Railways Corporation. Name them, they are all here. What we decided, as Eddie said, let us recognize that we have one common agenda, the use of the lake and the lakefront to generate economic benefit for Kenyans. Let us come together and utilize this space together.
Yes, sir.
So that from each according to his ability, to each according to his or her need. So the Lakefront Development Corporation, as a corporation set up by the county, creates a space of activity, of cooperation for all these people. I'll give you, for example, we are all interested in the dredging of the port, which is going on at the moment. We are also all interested in reviving boat making at the port. Yes. So we have Kenya Ports Authority and Kenya Shipyard Company to come together with the county. The county's responsibility is not really to provide the capital, we don't have it. Yes. It's to create the juridical space and to cooperate in giving human resources to what is going on. In giving human resources, we benefit because our people are employed.
Yes.
But also, in being employed there, they make it possible for the work of reviving the port to happen in the interest of these individual corporations that are interested in that port space. You understand?
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, indeed. The lakefront is really a facilitative and coordinating and creating the structure where we can all have a play and where we can all coordinate. And in fact, you perhaps might come to this, and John might allude to that. Yeah. The recently concluded, memorandum of cooperation, which he may allude to later.
Oh, great. So John is also involved.
Yeah. Very much so.
I didn't hear KMA. But anything maritime then affects the authority, and the authority wants to know what's going on. Are you bringing money as investment?
That's a video. Yes,
Sorry, please check Juvenal's
that
mic.
that is a conversation that is very interesting to us. This whole business of reviving the activities in our Kenyan waters, it is exciting to me because I witnessed from the very beginning when we are operating in different silos, as the PS had mentioned in the morning. And the conversation was brought when we did our inaugural maritime conference, where the head of state attended and several people came and gave very, very interesting conversations about the monies which have been hiding in our inland waters and also at the coast. Yeah. If you may recall, there was a picture of an African boy opening the ocean, and inside there was bundles and bundles of dollars. That is how it has been for a long time. Yeah. And so then when after it went all the way into finding out what is it that the various countries are doing in this water. We carried out that investigation. We checked on the integrated county development programs. We brought them together. We talked, and not only us, we also collaborated with the other government agencies dealing with the water. And then we felt that there was a need to really, each and every party had an interest in these waters. And what was lacking was how do we bring ourselves into some sort of collaboration or a framework that will bring us to synergize and get the best of what it entails. And I'm very happy to report that out of these conversations, we saw a lot of interest through the support of the governor last week when we have over 20 CEOs attending that forum, plus very many agencies. And it has been a process that was started, and we now have a document that talks of a multi-agency action plan that is targeting how we can deal with the resources in the water. And that brings all the agencies with all their expertise, all their resources, and some of them do return money to the treasuries, meant for a lot of development. We found out also. And then if you come together, we'll be able to pick out and see how best can we be able to work together as a team to bring back the sleeping giant into some action that can generate some economic income. Yes.
And it sounds like great things are happening, but we just haven't heard, and now we are hearing. Thanks to Switch TV partnering with Kisumu County and the ministry and also KWS.
So maybe I might just jump in.
Yes, please.
Great things are happening. At the backdrop of this meeting, MOU, we actually had yesterday a serious working session with John here and the group to now see how we can operationalize some of the good ideas which came out of the MOC. And that is in the context of what, for instance, Kisumu Lake Front will be able to have as operational plan.
I'm really glad to hear that. And I say this because I am affected also. We can conceptualize a lot around the lake. We have great ideas, but operationalizing becomes now the challenge, executing and bringing to. I want to shift gears and give the opportunity to hear. I have you here, your experts. There was a clip that ran. You didn't have the opportunity to watch it, but our viewers on air did. And this clip interviewed several different people within the Lake Basin region. And some of the issues they brought out were industries not being able to produce products to a finished product. So they're exporting unfinished products. They talked of high taxes, and that I think is going to be a perennial thing, but maybe there's an answer that you would want to give the people here involved. Licensing, there's 7 or more licenses. I'm being careful, Governor, I do not know, but I hear from reliable sources, as you like saying, that it's bureaucratic. We've spoken of the challenge of overfishing, and where are we with the hyacinth? Is it still being trapped by the political intrigues, or is it now moving? And these are not my questions. They're questions from your people wanting answers. And if there are answers, they just haven't had opportunity to hear them. So can I ask Madam PS to start with at least national taxes? Can you reduce them? And then Governor can, or at least propose for a reduction.
Like I said, we balance competing interests. And we also, sorry.
Yeah, just put it to your mouth, man. It's okay, it's on. It's on, yeah.
All right. Like I said, the blue economy means different things to different people and different countries as such. If you want to make maximum exploitation, then you have to balance different interests. And the problem has been, like we've said before, thinking in silos and not seeing the bigger picture. Yeah. So we are at a stage where we are, the conversation has started to see which is the area that yields maximum benefit, and therefore looking for different kinds of support, maybe reducing taxation here so that you can affect a bigger whole, and that's an ongoing conversation. But it's bringing everybody to the table, that's what it calls for, and seeing the picture from where we are.
And that's happening from what I hear.
That's
People
work
are
in
coming.
progress.
Yes, people are coming to the table. Now, the people I'm talking about are, I just need to make my business work for the next day and grow one day
true.
at a time.
It's true.
Governor, how do you help that person who is trying to exploit the lake as you would want
Yeah,
them to?
you see, that's why we created a Lakefront Development Corporation, to have a one-stop shop where you can go and say, look, I want to establish business here, either offshore or in the lake. We have two, for example, proposals. You know, a lake, part of the maritime economy is marinas, people who want to do business on the lake, tourism, leisure industry, and so on. And Eddie and the corporation have this idea they are going to establish a marina where these people can bring their boats and do business. Now, you don't want to subject these people to too much bureaucratic procedures and taxes and so on. So you approach the Lakefront Development Corporation that you want to do this, and they will solve those practical problems to make it easier for you to do business. Secondly, as a county, we realize that the county government is there to make it possible for people to live their lives as citizens and for business people to carry out business. Our responsibility is to create an environment that is possible so that there are not chaos but order. The respect of law without the law being oppressive to the people. That's our responsibility. So, and that's why we saw that in the lake space, it was easier to deal with this if we worked together as two levels of government, national and county, to solve. This is the first step. The other day I visited a fish filleting farm, by the way, which has been dead for the last 25 years with modern technology and everything else. The technology is still very much in order, can be used. But because of bureaucracy in government and all those things, jealousies, intrigues, the fellow brought this thing, established a fish filleting farm, but has not been able to operate for 25 years. These are what I call dead capital. So immediately I told them, write to me, I will put you in contact with the Lakefront Development Corporation so that we can regenerate this very good facility. These are the kind of things we are doing. Now, if I come to Hyacinth, as you can see, if you look over there, you can see one Hyacinth island over there. Okay, the Hyacinth actually beginning to go away. Why? Two reasons. One, the Mbita Causeway, which was stopping the Gulf from breathing. The government removed those 4 layers of stones, walls that were still out there. Water can now flow freely in the bigger lake. Thereby, the debris that are here can be spread democratically.
Across the basin.
Democratically in the whole lake, so that we don't choke here. You see that?
Yes.
And as we democratize the movement of
More people will be
these
concerned.
things, of debris, then the lake, the Gulf becomes healthy. As you can see, the water is beginning to look blue and blue.
Yes.
Secondly, there's the dredging of the port
Yeah.
by Mango Tree Company. If you see the kind of things that come from the bottom of the lake, you will be surprised. But finally, we must stop affluents going to the lake.
Yeah.
We are working very closely with this environment, NEMA.
Yes.
And we are also working very closely with those people who mine the soil. We have very stringent rules now about mining the soil, either for making bricks or getting kokoto or quarries. We want to stop that from being an activity that leads to lake pollution. It's a work in progress.
Okay.
But I think by 2 or 3 years, we'll see a difference in the Nyanza Gulf.
We'll come back to you. I'm going to give you 15 seconds each before I have to let you give your seats away.
Yes.
But what is promenade? 46 kilometers. What's that?
Let me first of all just add on a point which Governor was talking about, and you alluded to
They will
issues
cut
of
me off, but I warned you. Go
very
ahead.
quickly about the bureaucracies and all that, and how we are trying to do things differently. That's the one recognition we had in trying to develop the lakefront, so that the lakefront can be the point of call to address some of the issues of ease and especially legality of things, and one-stop shop to deal with in front of the lake. Right. I think apart from that, what it is the promenade. One of our thoughts was that to rejuvenate economic activity and have one umbilical infrastructure is to have have as near as possible an opening, or in quotes, a ring road which would be non-motorizable of 40 kilometers around the lake.
Daktari, you're talking high.
Yeah.
A ring road,
That-
non-motorizable.
okay,
What do you mean?
Okay, it's basically to open the footpaths which are around the lake and widen them so that people can start walking around the lake for 40 kilometers. And one day we might have Kisumu Marathon, International Marathon, running
Run up
around the
and
lake.
back.
That's the
Great.
promenade.
You know, the question I'll come back with is when? When does it start? When does it happen? Mr. John Omingo, please, go ahead. Give with us your last remarks. The thing that you really wanted to say before I bent you.
Yeah, even as we develop the infrastructure and put all the collaboration frameworks in place with all the monitoring and evaluation committee, the element of training of our people is very critical. And this is one area that the authority is much focused on in
How?
terms of support. We have developed curriculum for the people working at the sea and also on land.
Okay.
We are providing training support through the help, providing direct financing to help, so that people can be able to access the training opportunities both at the university and at the lower levels.
Yeah.
And in addition to that, the element of safety and security and pollution, these are areas that we also must focus and do the very best that we can.
All right.
But as from next week,
Yeah.
there's a technical team on the monitoring and evaluation. Institutions have been invited to give us the experts. We develop a framework of how to implement these good ideas that are coming up now that we are alive to the blue economy.
And can Michelle come
all
and
the support.
contribute at that?
Yes,
at
yes.
that meeting?
Yes,
But you've
please.
not invited her and told her where she should come.
Yes.
But, Michelle, find him.
I'll give my
So-
Twitter handle.
Thank
and
you.
the contact and all the details.
Thank you so much. We're having a discussion on enhancing maritime opportunities. We've heard a few of them, and we're going to continue with the discussion. But we're on StarTimes 473, Zuku 53, Signet, Free to Air, Facebook, Switch TV Kenya, Instagram, Switch TV KE, Twitter, Switch TV Kenya, and the hashtag is Switch Kisumu Maritime. We'll be back with our guests in a short while. Thank you.